Hey, here we are in my new Love and Respect Now office. It's actually located in my church's office area, and so while this is my new home for work, I've actually been a part of the Imago Dei community for 6+ years. I moved up here from LA, and a couple of my girlfriends were like, hey, you have to come hear this teacher, he's incredible. And that started a journey of sitting under Rick's teaching and allowing me to discover two things, which one, he is one of the greatest spiritual influences on my life thus far, and two, he is a brilliant communicator. I am so privileged to sit under his teaching each week. But also, he is a writer, and he came out with this book this year called A Kingdom Called Desire, and I went through it with a couple girlfriends, and it's really incredible. And so I asked him, since we're neighbors, if I could come over and talk to him about it, and he so graciously said yes. So let's go over yonder to Rick's office. There's no handle on that door. So it was a little farther away than I thought. So I stole this from a kid. Hey.
Hey.
Hey, Rick.
That's
long time no
a
see.
sweet ride.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. I decorated it with your awesome flyers. Rick's not a self-promoter at all. I just came in at like 5 a.m. to set up. So
Yes.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
This is
Joy.
awesome. As I said, back in my office, Rick wrote a book called A Kingdom Called Desire that I just went through with a couple girlfriends, and it was really good. Well done. I wanted to read a little excerpt for the kids and have you give me the context around it.
Okay, let's do that.
This is one of the more deep, serious portions of the book.
Profound. That's probably the word
really,
you're looking for.
That was, thank you. 18-year-old boy men should be able to equate heaven with a 50-keg party and dancing naked women who want nothing more than to sleep with them over and over until the sun rises on their fatigued bodies and there are no STDs or hangovers. Expand. What's the story behind that?
Yes, well, the story behind that is when I first became a believer, I knew that I was supposed to not do certain things. I picked that up pretty quickly in the church I was at. But I have no religious background, no context for any of that, and I'm assuming that I'm just putting all those things off until we get to heaven. And then when we get to heaven, you get to do all that stuff, which wasn't theologically correct. But I actually asked one of the pastors that, and of course he looks at me horrified, like, what? And I'm kind of learning not to ask questions because everyone I ask gets sort of shut down. And it was just this horrific kind of response, which makes sense, right? That shouldn't be happening in heaven, and heaven's not an orgy or a bacchanal or some horrible thing. But what I was equating was things that I had done before I got saved that were that were heaven-like. You know, they're like the most euphoric moments of your life, either when I was drunk or sex or whatever it would be. And but the shutdown, sort of that horror, was in contrast to the fact the guy who discipled me was having an affair, the youth pastor ended up leaving his wife and walking away from the faith, and so all these things are going on behind the scenes, but no one's honestly having this conversation. So we just act horrified at honest questions, and yet we hide behind, you know, this life that doesn't have integrity to it.
Yeah. So how did that then, at that point, being a new Christian, affect your view of God?
I think more than anything, you're just confused. You're going, I'm supposed to be excited about a heaven that looks more like a really long church service, which I wouldn't have been very excited about.
Yeah.
And I think more often than not, it was learning initially not to be honest. Like, okay, the more honest I am, the more horrified people look at me. So you kind of learn not to be honest. But the truth is, then you mature and you're not just an outsider. You've been a believer long enough that you're kind of an insider, and you realize actually all these people need to be honest, you know, in a pretty significant way. So how do you create a culture of honesty where you can ask those hard questions or doubts or struggles and not be shocked? And the truth is, like I said in my book, you should have a culture where older men could handle an 18-year-old thinking that, because I think Christians and non-Christian 18-year-old boys probably think that. Yeah. That sounds like heaven. And yet bring them along and help them be mentored into what fidelity with a woman looks like, and what you're always going to long for heaven. So don't think that sex is going to equate, you know, but at the same time there's something great that God has created, and that would help the older dude as well, perhaps be honest about his own relationship with his wife and whatnot. So.
Totally, yeah. And that's one of the things about my site is I want to create a place where people can ask honest questions, and also I always tell people seek older, wiser counsel. Mm-hmm. So how did that experience, and you share a bunch of stories in here, but how has that affected how you've decided to pastor and facilitate Imago?
In terms of being honest?
Being honest and creating a place where there is that accountability.
Yeah, I think for us it's just become important to say, be prepared that we're going to create a culture where people can ask honest questions. I think a lot of times at Imago, at least, that'll push towards, well, I don't really want answers. I just want to like grovel in my honesty and my authenticity. So trying to balance, like, we get to be honest and we get to be real, but we also have to be ready to confront a God who honestly looks like something that maybe sometimes you can't fully comprehend, and that you'll have to wrestle with and struggle with. And so trying to hold honesty up as a value, both who is the real God and who is the real me, and let's just pull the curtain back on both of those things and see what God does. Yeah.
That's great. Well, I just want to thank you for being my pastor, and truly, like, he is a man who isn't just a good communicator, writer, teacher, but like he truly is pastoral, and you actually shared that on Sunday, like how you became pastoral through your own woundedness. And I don't know what it is about this office, but like every time I come in, I start weeping. And so I just want to thank you for who you are to me and our church. And I feel like you'll get a little bit of that in this book. He does, if you read this and you answer the questions and not just like breeze through it, like, oh, I read this book, great. But like, if you force yourself to ask the questions that Rick presents in this book, you won't be the same after you read it, because you will have to live differently. So thank you for writing it. And
thank you.
All of you guys should go out and buy it for Christmas, although maybe that doesn't go with Advent Conspiracy so much, but you should pick this up. And
buy that in January.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Joy. Thanks. Yes. Oh, we got this. yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He's truly pastoral.
Alright.
Oh, that was amazing.
That could have
That was
ended.
so fun.
That could have ended horribly.
If we would have fallen, that actually would have been better, but.
I know, but all I saw was chicken coops everywhere.
That's right. I love you have a leather jacket and sunglasses.